Hello and greetings from Eastern Europe, my name is called Beer and this time I want to tell you a sad story about cancelled Baldur's Gate 3, the Black Hound game. If you never knew about it, it will be a pretty interesting story to hear. Don't worry, it has nothing to do with the newest Baldur's Gate 3 being developed by the Larian Studios. That game is alive and kicking, there is no need to be concerned. Just relax and listen to interesting story. You might hear something unexpected that may interest you as a fan of classic RPG games. The sequel to Baldur's Gate 2, The Black Hound, was first announced in the year 2001. It is strange, but the game has no relation with the plot, location, or even characters of the previous Baldur's Gate games. In fact, even BioWare had nothing to do with the game. Instead, the Black Isle Studios were in charge of production, and despite being famous for developing such games as Fallout, Planescape Torment, or Icewind Dale, studio is also known for its unfinished products, such as Torn, Stonekeep 2, and classic isometric Fallout 3.
That's a damn shame.
Indeed, and including third Baldur's Gate, that's a lot of unfinished work for one small company. Baldur's Gate 3 The Black Hound was best known by a codename Project Jefferson, named after a new 3D engine they were supposed to use instead of Infinity Engine, used in the first two Baldur's Gate games. Actually, this engine was never used in a successful game. Third isometric Fallout, known as Van Buren, which was the other game using this engine, was also cancelled a bit later.
Right?
Yeah, great. It sounds ironic, but actually it is, because Van Buren's tech demo was leaked onto the internet in 2007, thus showing us the engine firsthand. Imagine Baldur's Gate made with this. At that time, it would definitely be a decent game. Although it may possibly be that the name Baldur's Gate 3 was just a legal trick, as during its development, Interplay lost the Dungeons & Dragons license to Atari, but could still develop D&D games under the Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale brands. So they did. The team was led by Josh Sawyer, a history major, and while it would still use the D&D rule set and be set in Forgotten Realms, it would be more grounded, low-level adventure with a heavier focus on role-playing.
Oh, fun. Role-playing.
Not that role-playing, although maybe. All in all, game was never released. The Black Hound was set to take place in Forgotten Realms continent of Faerun. It would have been set in the Daily Lands and allowed players to travel mostly into the area of Arkendale. Although none of the characters from the previous Baldur's Gate games would have returned, the cast would have been completely original as well as the story, but some characters from the Icewind Dale series would be included. The plot of the game revolved around evil cleric May Pharaoh and her gang of raiders who have been spent weeks tracking down the Black Hound, the physical manifestation of May's guilt for unleashing a great evil. During a game, you as a player learn the tale of a widowed farmer's wife taking great guilt in her husband's death, as for some reason she believed that it is her fault. This is the place where you all must truly realize that this is a fantasy game, nothing common with reality, because in real life it's never a woman's fault. Anyway, Widow tries to resurrect her husband and succeeds, but finds him to be an abomination, and not in that common term where he resurrects and then starts drinking and beating her again. He becomes a real monster. She cannot stop him, despite him being very weak at that time. Through the course of the game, the farmer is growing stronger and stronger of the guilt absorbed by the Black Hound through the player. You, the player, by that time learn that this wife is previously mentioned evil cleric May Pharaoh, who believes killing the Hound would be a way to stop the farmer. The Hound, however, latched its soul onto you and use you as a tunnel to channel guilt to the farmer and as his guide to the world. That is actually really original, not cliché story, and it deeply reminds me one of the quests of the first Witcher game, where the Hellhound, referred to also as the Beast, assumes the form of a terrifying hound and tirelessly stalks its victims once it finds their trail. Peasants believe that the Hellhound embodies the vengeance, and it is sent to punish humans for their wickedness. See? One hound embodies the vengeance, and other is the manifestation of guilt. I know it's not the same, but it's really cool similar concept. The Black Hound game was cancelled in 2003 when Interplay lost the rights to Baldur's Gate brand and could not release a D&D RPG anymore. Suffering from financial issues, Interplay closed the Black Isle Studios shortly after, and rumor is that the game was already 80% complete. And that is so weird because all we have is this artwork and zero real graphics. Anyway, the artwork of the Black Hound looks really good. I hope you are enjoying it. However, that was not the end of the Black Hound. Black Isle Studios former manager Fergus Urquhart gathered a few key developers such as Josh Sawyer, Chris Avallone, and 3 others and founded a new studio, Obsidian Entertainment. Yes, the one which created Knights of Old Republic 2, Neverwinter Nights 2 Pillars of Eternity, and last year's hit The Outer Worlds. In the year 2007, Josh Sawyer, using Neverwinter Nights 2 model creation tool, began to work on a personal project, a Baldur's Gate 3 The Black Hound module. He posted about the project for a few years, sharing screenshots and discussing his views on mechanics such as damage resistance, feats and classes, but the module was never finished. Despite that, people liked the idea of Baldur's Gate with Neverwinter graphics. Although Baldur's Gate 3 was never finished as a model of Neverwinter Nights 2, first Baldur's Gate was completely rehauled by fans. Completely! Look at this! This is free if you have Neverwinter Nights 2. Just install and play. I will put a link of this mod into the description, and when you finish that, you can find Icewind Dale campaign laying nearby. All you need is Neverwinter Nights 2 installed. Anyway, last attempt of resurrecting the Black Hound occurred in 2008, when Obsidian pitched Baldur's Gate 3 to Atari, holder of the Dungeons & Dragons license at the time. Negotiations went far and designers worked for months on the project, but Atari was suffering financially, didn't have the money required, and the game was abandoned again. That was the last time. Now we all wait for Baldur's Gate 3 being made by Larian Studios. 20 years later, game is finally happening, although it will be a totally different game. All that's left of the Black Hound is a name of the inn inside Pillars of Eternity game. That's it. Thank you for watching, please like, subscribe and leave a comment. Also, if you like my videos, you can support me on Patreon. Even $1 a month is a huge help, letting me create more videos and not less. Have a nice day and I'll see you next time. Bye.